Marvel Comics have made Captain America relevant again. This week we're checking out the first volume of Chip Zdarsky's new, dark and gritty run of the Sentinel of Liberty himself, Captain America. And only a beer that's easy and familiar, whilst being a little bit funky, could fit the epic start to this new run. But we've picked a beer that could be the mastermind behind this awesome new comic. Welcome to Craft Beer Comics. Welcome back all shield slingers and NIPA patriots to another episode of Craft Beer Comics. I'm your host Harry, and today we are checking out Captain America Volume 1, Our Secret Wars. This collects issues 1 to 5 of the new Captain America series by Chip Zdarsky, Frank Martin and Valerio Shitty, I'm presuming that's how you pronounce it, I don't know. But yeah, this series started in 2025, but Volume 1 has only just released. And for those of you who have listened for a while, you know that I usually collect the volumes and not the single issues unless it's something really special. So, this has been on my list for a little while. I read the Captain America series by, I want to say Straczynski, but I feel like that's wrong. I don't know. But I read the last Captain America run, and that run didn't last very long, to be perfectly honest, and it wasn't great. The art was really cool. I liked the art a lot. But the storytelling just didn't really feel Captain America-y. It had some of the themes, but I don't feel like he necessarily understood the premise, I guess, of Captain America. It was a bit of a tough one. I collected them and I'll keep them because I'm a big Captain America fan, but it just didn't, just didn't hit the mark for me. But this new one that has come out, they've started from Volume 1 again. This seems to be a thing Marvel are doing at the moment, where when a comic run isn't going quite the way they want it to, or a movie comes out, Fantastic Four is a classic example. Ryan North is currently writing Fantastic Four, and he got up to volume 6 or 7. And then the movie Fantastic Four First Steps came out, and now they've said that it's back to volume 1 again of Fantastic Four, but it's the same creative team, continuing the same stories from the previous line. It's just been kind of rebooted because of the film, I guess, to give the illusion that it's an easier jumping on point, which is just wrong. It's completely mental. But a similar thing with Captain America, and they've done it with Iron Man as well, where the comic wasn't doing great, so they ditched the old team, got a new team, and started from issue 1 again. I don't like it. I don't like the way they do that. It's in the past, if a comic wasn't working, you'd get a new writer, you'd end whatever story the previous writer was telling, and then you'd continue the same line, but just with a new writer. And that's always the way it's been. I mean, this whole new, when there's a new writer, we start from issue 1 again. It's ridiculous. I don't like it at all, because you can't build these massive stories. Like in the past, you'd have maybe several writers working on one comic, and there'd be a massive overarching story. And yes, the writing would change, and it would be a little bit different. But sometimes you get these story arcs which lasted ages because these writers had come together and agreed, this is where we're going, this is where I want it to go, I'm passing the torch, do what you want, but this is the idea. And then they'd carry that forwards, but they're not doing it at the moment. And usually it really annoys me. However, with this Captain America, I think a new creative team is exactly what it needed, because this comic is amazing. It's really, really cool. Let me read you the description. A new era for Captain America begins here. While Captain America slumbered at ice, the world changed, for better and for worse. Steve Rogers awakens to a reality where battles are fought in the shadows through secrets and subterfuge, and villains aren't so easy to identify. And when a fledgling dictator named Victor Von Doom conquers Latveria, Steve faces a critical decision. Adapt to a new kind of warfare, or forge his own path. What will the choice he makes in the past mean for his future? Plus, who is David Colton, and can Steve trust him to have his back as they infiltrate a hostile country with the new Howling Commandos? Experience the untold tale of Captain America's first encounter with Dr. Doom as Chip Zdarsky and Valerio Shitty team up for a game-changing run. So this one's kind of weird. It's about Captain America waking up from the ice again, but this time he's woken up, I think, pretty much post 9/11, where obviously in the past he wakes up in, I don't know, the 60s. I think. When did Captain America come out the ice in the comics? Yeah, it was the 60s. So Captain America was unfrozen in Avengers issue 4 in 1964. But they've changed that now, and he's now been unfrozen post 9/11. But everything's kind of still like Silver Agey in design. You see Iron Man as a little bit of avenging. But long story short, he gets unfrozen. The Avengers find him, unfreeze him. Iron Man says, do you want to join the Avengers? It's pretty cool. And Steve says no. He says, no thank you. I'm a soldier. I'm going to go back to soldier things. Meanwhile, there's this like backstory being told of this kid that sees the planes hit the Twin Towers. And as the story progresses, it's kind of split between Captain America doing, adjusting to modern day and stopping a couple of crimes, and this kid who saw 9/11 effectively and joins the army. The issue is he's very weak, he's got asthma, he's small, he's runty, and he's not cut out for the army. So it's very similar to Steve's story. And I think that's the point. It's supposed to be like, what would happen if Steve's story happened during the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, as opposed to fighting the Nazis. Anyway, you see Captain America, and he goes to Thunderbolt Ross, and he says, I want to rejoin the army. And Ross is like, great, welcome back, top lad. We're going to send you to Latveria, because Dr. Doom has just become dictator there. So Captain America goes to Reed Richards, which is a nice little thing. It's rare you see an interaction between Mr. Fantastic and Captain America. But they go to a pub and they have a little drink, and Reed's like, oh yeah, I know Dr. Doom. We were in college together. He's a bit of a prick. And he gives him a MacGuffin to disable Dr. Doom's armor. And Steve's like, nice one, cheers. And you get a nice little touch from Mr. Fantastic there, where some guys recognize him when he changes his face to look like a fat guy, and he's like, oh nah, I'm not Mr. Fantastic. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, and they go away. And Steve's like, why'd you do that? He says, well, I chose this big name for Mr. Fantastic so I can still kind of have a secret identity, because people expect this massive, larger-than-life character, but I'm just like a scientist. I think that's a really nice little touch that I don't think they've ever really touched on that in previous Fantastic Four comics. So it was a nice little thing. I like what he's done with that. I really like it as a Fantastic Four fan, specifically Mr. Fantastic. Big fan of that. I like it. Nice job, Zdarsky. Anyway, Captain America gets sent on a covert mission into Latveria along with the kid who's now an adult who saw the 9/11 thing. He's called David Colton, and he is now a Captain America. He was given a similar drug to make him all super soldiery and overcome his asthma and blah blah blah. And it's got to be honest, really similar to the storyline they told in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but they've just replaced US Agent with David Colton. It's not a bad story. It's not a bad story at all. I really like that aspect of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I feel like they've just kind of improved it here, which is really, really cool. So yeah, they go on a mission together, and it's very clear that David Colton is a lot more unhinged than Captain America. Then it kind of turns into the basic Captain America going to beat up the bad guy, and then the Howling Commandos and David Colton going to rescue the hostages. And Captain America stuff's very like baff, pow, ka-chow, fighty time. Whereas the David Colton stuff, he goes to rescue the hostages, and then, spoiler alert, you've been warned, the Howling Commandos shoot the hostages. And David Colton's like, whoa, what are you doing? And then it turns out that the American government helped Victor Von Doom become dictator to get the old regime out. Then Von Doom turned on the American government and started doing his own thing. So that's why the Americans are wanting to take him out. And the hostages there know about this. So the Howling Commandos have been told to kill the hostages so that they can't leak that the American government put Doom in power. Really cool. Really cool twist. Didn't see it coming. Excellent. You're getting lots of flashbacks to David Colton being in, I think it's Iraq. I'm not 100% sure. I read this a few days ago. So I'm a little bit, it's a little bit not fresh. But you see him there, and you see bombs going off, and then, an American soldier shoots a child, and then David Colton kind of loses it and then kills that guy with his shield. Very US Agent-esque from Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then David Colton basically gets told that he can now only do covert stealth ops missions. But the comic ends with they defeat Dr. Doom with Reed Richards' little MacGuffin, and then David Colton goes on a bit of a nutty one, to be honest, and just starts fucking killing people left, right and centre. Captain America and David Colton have a big old fight. David Colton saves Captain America's life when a Howling Commando tries to shoot Captain America. And then it seems like David Colton dies, possibly from like a heart attack or exhaustion or something. David Colton's dying words are telling Captain America that the US government put Doom in power, which of course changes everything for Captain America. And then Tony Stark shows up and says, come on Steve, join the Avengers. You'll have a great old time, you'll have lots of adventures. So that's what they do. And the comic ends there. And it's kind of funny. I'm obviously glad this is an ongoing series. This is great. But if that was just called Captain America Our Secret Wars, limited run, 5 issues, that's it, I would have been happy with that, to be honest. I would have thought that was great. I would have been happy I spent money on it. I'm glad it's ongoing. And I think David Coulton's coming back in Avengers Armageddon, which is, I think it's currently out at the moment. I'm not 100% sure. I don't keep up with Avengers comics. I'm not big on these massive group ensemble things usually, so I don't keep up with it. But I think he's the good guy / bad guy in that. But this is great. This is a really, really solid start. He totally nails the moral compass of Captain America. The dialogue, the kindness, the sort of gentle aspect of him mixed with the beating up Doctor Doom and, giving the monologues like he does. It all works. And he totally gets it, which is amazing. Especially coming off the back of the last Captain America run, which was, it was okay. It was fine. It was clearly trying to do something. But this is, instead of trying to do something, this one is actually doing something. And it's incorporating modern world issues into a character that is timeless and out of time, to be honest. That's his thing. He's Captain America. He's from 1940s. He's a man with different morals. He's a good guy. Full stop. That's Captain America. He's the hero. He's the protagonist. But at the end of the day, he's a good guy. And then, the little bits of Reed Richards. That was great. That was amazing. The bits with Iron Man. There's not a lot of Iron Man, but the cocky, typical portrayal of Tony Stark, perfect. And then they've still got the thing of Captain America doesn't know, well, no one knows that Iron Man is Tony Stark. That's still a thing, which is great. I love that they kept that in. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. And, if Chip wants to come over and write Fantastic Four when he's done with Captain America, I'd be over the moon with that, to be honest. This writing is fantastic. I actually haven't read anything else by Chip Zdarsky, but I know he did Daredevil, and I've been meaning to read it. I know you can get an omnibus now, so when that's really cheap, I might pick it up and review that. But I'd only read good reviews of him in the past, and I thought, oh, Captain America has been written by this guy. It might be good. And it is good. It's really good. So if you're a Captain America fan, or even if you're not, because you think he's too cheesy or corny or, stuck in the past, this is the perfect jumping on point for you. I know I went off on one at the beginning about jumping on points and restarting, but this one actually works. This one's really, really good. It's great. The artwork, perfect. It's just ideal for Captain America. The highlight is the flashbacks to when David Coulton's in a war zone. The colours are muted and sandy to obviously reflect the Middle East and make sure it's there. And they just look cool. And there's a lot of, when there's important scenes where people die, they leave empty space around that character. And I think that works. I think you can do a lot with empty space. This is a design thing. I think a lot of people are like, empty space, got to fill it with explosions or other people or something else. But the empty space really works. It's undervalued, I think. But in here, they use it really, really well. Massive fan of the art in this. The art in the previous Captain America run was good, but it was almost 3D-ish. It was very digital, I guess is how I describe it. Even if I don't know if it was made digitally, but it kind of looked it. And it was fine. But this is top-notch Captain America, to be honest. Massive fan, and I'm definitely going to get Volume 2 100%. This comic is getting... I'm really tempted to give it a 10 out of 10, but I'm not going to. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Here's why. It's great, and I really like the story they're telling. However, what's brought it down for me is it's very clear that they've taken a couple of story points from Falcon and the Winter Soldier and then incorporated it into this. They might not have done, that might not have been the reason. However, it's a very Marvel thing for the comics to reflect the films, which in my opinion isn't the way it should be. The films should always reflect the comics, but Marvel don't always do that, especially since launching the MCU. So that's what's brought it down for me, is I kind of saw that coming. There are parts of it I didn't see coming that weren't from a TV show or a film. But that part, it kind of brought it down for me because it happened and I was like, oh, it's shocking, but also I've seen this before, and I've seen it recently on big media. So that's why it's brought it down. But Captain America, Volume 1, Our Secret Wars by Chip Zdarsky, Valerio Schiti, and Frank Martin. That's 9 out of 10. If you see it in your local shop, if you see it on eBay, if you see it on Amazon, wherever you see it, if you've got some extra cash lying around, or you're a big Captain America fan, or you want to get into Captain America, this is an amazing jumping on point. Go for it, 100%. Now, the beer for this week. So, you might have seen it on my YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, social media shit. I went down to a local market to me recently and picked up a whole range of craft beers from a local company. And there was a huge selection. I didn't really know what to choose, to be honest. So I asked the guy who was running it all, and he recommended to me Mastermind from Neon Raptor. Now, I think I've spoken about Neon Raptor before. I've reviewed their Terminator one. I'm a big Neon Raptor fan. It's local to me in Nottingham. And I love the tap room. I love the tap room there. And I love the beers they do. All the flavours are great. So when he said, I've got a Neon Raptor one, I was like, okay, yeah, you piqued my interest. The label, really cool. And this is a collab with Minnow Beer, which I think is a Japanese brewer, which is kind of cool. It is yuzu and sansho. I don't know what either of those things are, to be honest. Those two things mixed in this beer are incredible. It's a very, very soft beer. It's very easy to drink. I don't know if it's classed as a session. I don't think it is because of the alcohol volume. It's 5.2%. But I could, if I wanted a night out and I wanted a nice, solid beer to treat myself with, Mastermind would be the one. Now, I think this is part of a line of beers that Neon Raptor are doing, because it's been like 10 years of Neon Raptor Brewing doing their thing, and they're doing a special thing where they're doing 26 beers because it's 2026, and that's all the letters of the alphabet, and each one is a different flavour with a different brewer. It's great. It's really, 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 really cool. It's a great idea, and they're nailing it from this one. So yeah, like I said, it's obviously got that beery taste, but there's just something about it which is almost, I don't want to say floral, because that sounds shit, but it's got kind of a really soft, earthy flavour to it. It's lovely. It's really, really nice. Allergens for this are gluten, barley, wheat. That's it. Pretty much the same as most beers. Vegan friendly. Ingredients are water, barley, wheat, yuzu, hops, yeast, and sansho. I'd really recommend this. It's a craft beer, obviously, but it's not too funky. So if you're kind of wanting to get into craft beer and you wanted something nice and easy to kind of ease yourself into, this one's definitely for you. And if you like Japanese flavours and you like sansho and yuzu, which are apparently peppery and zesty, according to this description, this beer is definitely for you. I wouldn't describe this beer as peppery. Don't worry, you're not going to taste pepper. But it's definitely zesty. It's definitely kind of like floral. It's very easy. It's delicious. It's a top beer. It's another top beer from Neon Raptor. I feel kind of bad that I'm reviewing another Neon Raptor beer, and this is like episode, 10 or something. But this one's really, really good. It was the first one I had out of the bunch I bought, and it was great. It was a great start, and I almost wish I'd saved it for last, because it's that good. I'm going to give this beer an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10. It's a really, really solid beer. There's nothing too special about it, but it's very, very easy to drink, very tasty, quite mellow, soft, great for a summer evening, to be honest, when it's really hot. Chuck that in the fridge, crack it out a couple of hours later, you're treating yourself. So yeah, this is £4.75, that's British pounds. It's a 440ml can, 5.2%. That's Mastermind from Neon Raptor in partnership with Minnow Beer. If you see it in your local shop, pick it up. If you don't see it in your local shop but you really fancy it, visit neonraptorbrewingco.com, go along to their shop little tab, click on beer, click on all beers, and it'll be there. They've got a great range of other beers as well. I'm not going to go through them like I did with Vault City because there's so many. This is coming in at 23 minutes right now. I need to cut it down, but it's a fairly long episode anyway. So that's it. That's the beer for this week. Thank you for listening to another episode of Craft Beer Comics. I've been your host, Harry, and this week we've checked out Captain America, Our Secret Wars from Chip Zdarsky, with a solid 9 out of 10 on that one. Partnered with Mastermind from Neon Raptor Brewing Co. with a solid 8 out of 10 on that one. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Every interaction, every view, every listen, it really helps a lot, and it's very, very much appreciated. So thank you again for listening, and we will see you next time on the next episode of Craft Beer Comics.